Welcome to State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. The State of Wellbeing is a holistic well-being podcast with the goal of supporting the campus community as we strive to be a growing, high-performing, and healthy university.
Welcome to another episode of our State of Wellbeing podcast here at South Dakota State University. My name is Kevin Sackrider. I am the Executive Director of the Center for Professional Enrichment and Teaching Excellence here at SDSU. And I'm really excited to have our conversation today where we get to go outside the borders of South Dakota State University and we get to look at the Brookings community just a little bit more. And our goal being to introduce you to some Brookings community resources that are available as members of the SDSU community and how you can utilize those resources. And here to help us have that conversation is President and CEO of the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce, Kelsey Doom. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. This is, you've been a target on my list to have this conversation all summer, and so I'm glad we were able to make this
work. Here we go.
Right? Let's do this. And so the question I have for you, actually, so I gave a brief introduction, but I'm sure your role and title is more than just those CEO letters. And so really just to give you a moment to share with us who you are, what you do at Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce, and a little bit about Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, awesome. So Kelsey Doom, I was born and raised in South Dakota, got to Brookings about 5 years ago, actually graduated with a zoology degree, which is kind of a fun fact. Wanted to go to vet school and do all those fun things, but life took me up to Brookings, and here I am. I've been here for 5 years, and it's just been a joy. Got here in 2019, and obviously 2020 was a little bit of a whirlwind, right. So it took a few years to get my feet under me. But we have a great team, a great organization. We've actually been around since 1938, so a long time. It's a membership organization, and so individuals, organizations, and businesses mainly pay to be a member of the chamber, and in exchange they get certain benefits with membership. But really, our work impacts everyone. We try to be not so exclusive to membership, more inclusive, so everyone can engage and be part of the fun regardless of membership status. Sure. But we do have over 500 businesses representing, I think it's right around 13,000 employees in Brookings. And so quite a big group of individuals. It's a lot of fun. We do the bulk of our work through committee work, and I'll maybe dive into a few of these a little deeper later. Sure. But we've got our public affairs committee. They do our advocacy. We actually have a lobbyist out in Pierre during session advocating for pro-business legislation. We have our military affairs committee. I work with them to do our Veterans Day program, and you might see the 6th Street banners on, I think, between Labor Day and Veterans Day. Yep, they put those up. We've got the ambassadors committee. Those are really our cheerleaders for our new businesses, new members. We do ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings and things like that. And so that's a group of, I think, right around 20 individuals, but they're just really enthusiastic about the chamber and the work they do, and they're really great individuals. Our ag relations committee, they do, actually, we just finished up a really cool initiative. We do it in the spring and fall during planting and harvest season. It's called Feed the Farmer, and we get a local restaurant to give us a little bit of a deal on meals. And this last time was Dempsey's. They gave us $5 pizzas. We just call up a bunch of farms and say, hey, can we bring you lunch on this day? How many workers are you going to have out in the field? Sometimes we meet them right out in the field. Sometimes we bring it to their garage or wherever they're having lunch. But we feed typically around 50 to 60 farmers each spring and fall. So that's a really fun, just a feel good. Right. And you get to get out in the country, and it's a lot of great stuff. And we also have our ag banquet in November where we have right around 300 to 400 people there. It's a fundraiser for scholarships. So we give right around $6,000 to $8,000 in scholarships to graduating students coming to SDSU. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. We've got our Volga Business Network. We started that in, I believe, 2020. And Volga is just a really great community. It actually reminds me of my hometown of Wagner a lot. It's small, but it has a lot of things going on. There's over 100 businesses in Volga, which really surprised me. And so we have right around 40 members from the Volga area, and they do things like an Old Timers Day mixer with the business community. They do a golf tournament, some different community events. And actually, they just finished up a Small Business Basics, which is a program of SDSU Extension. So that was really great as well. We have our Women in Leadership Committee. They do 4 luncheons, 2 socials, and 1 half-day summit each year, just gathering right around, I'd say 130 is about the average. Females in leadership roles or up-and-coming roles. It's just a really good professional development opportunity. And then the last committee is Connect Brookings, and that's one that's kind of evolved, and I'll talk a little bit about later. We work with new residents, young professionals, and SDSU students. So.
Sure. You mentioned that there were a combination of types of membership, and I just a curious question more than anything, but you talked about over 500 business memberships, but you also mentioned individual memberships. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, so sometimes we have, say, Jane Doe was to quit her job and want to stay at home for a few years, but still wants to stay in touch. She can have an individual membership. It's $125. And really, it's just something to stay engaged. It supports our mission. We often see retirees that just aren't ready to exit completely. They get themselves an individual membership, but anybody can join the chamber.
Sure.
And that's one thing I really want to promote a little more in the future is those individual memberships, just because it is so much fun to serve on committees and do things like that. But if you are an employee of a business that's a chamber member, you're a chamber member.
Okay.
And that's something that we really try and make sure people know. So you guys are all chamber members because SDSU is a chamber member.
I think that's a great piece of information to share, because I don't know if that's always realized by the folks that are employees of SDSU. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was really, really good information. So what are some of the community resources, or even, and you mentioned some of the chamber events as well, but focusing on community resources, what are some community resources you feel residents should be aware of?
Yeah, I think, so I had jotted down a couple notes that, United Way, they are a great organization and kind of the hub for all nonprofits in town. And so if people are needing help with anything, I feel like United Way is a great first stop, whether it's mental health, physical health, well-being, things like that. But then also if you want to volunteer, volunteering is a great way to meet new people, give back. There's plenty of organizations, including the chamber, that accept volunteers and take volunteer work throughout the year. Anybody that's thinking about maybe starting a business or having a little side gig, we have a lot of resources within the Brookings Economic Development Corporation and Research Park out at the Research Park building. Just great individuals in that team. Visit Brookings. They're our tourism arm of Brookings, and I often say, we don't see the work that Visit Brookings does. A lot of people are like, what do they do? But that's purposeful. They're marketing to people outside of Brookings to come to Brookings, but they are the pros on all things having fun and spending time in Brookings. So that's a good, and we actually share a building with them. So we're right across from Jimmy John's on 6th Street, 1321 6th Street. And so we share a building with them and work closely with them. But then we also have, within the chamber, a few things that are just a blast. So downtown at sundown. Have you ever been, Kevin?
I have. It's a highlight for my children. Know exactly when downtown at sundown is happening.
Yep. We might have. How old are your children?
Oh, I have a 6-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 15-year-old.
Oh my gosh, fun! So we might have a salon coming and doing a free hair tinsel this summer.
Wow.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna get hair tinsel. Anyways, we have downtown at sundown. That's every Thursday in August. Typically around 3,000 to 5,000 people there. And a lot of fun stuff coming there. I urge you to head over to our Facebook page. There's going to be, I believe we're announcing the bands now week by week, but we've announced the first 2 are Boogie Wonderland. They're out of Minneapolis. They're a really fun group. They dress up in big hats and costumes, and it's like a 7-piece band. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. And then the second one is Guilty Pleasures. They're out of Sioux Falls, but I think they might be in the older genre where they used to play a lot of bars and things. So.
Sure.
And then, I don't know which other ones have been announced yet. So you have to head to the Facebook page to find out. And we also do Taste of Brookings. So that's where we have 6 restaurants that come into, we actually go to Club 71, and it's paired with our annual meeting every year. And so it's our annual celebration. Each restaurant creates a small taste of a theme that we give them. And so we've done citrus before. We've done, I think they had to use pork one year. So we give them a little guideline, and then they create the dish. And that event is growing. I think we might have to move it out of Club 71 if it keeps
awesome.
growing. Yeah, it's great. We have Leadership Brookings. That's a program. We accept 35 individuals each year, and that's just really kind of a PhD in Brookings. You're going places you wouldn't be able to go otherwise, getting some cool tours, hearing from some local leaders, learning a lot about civic leadership, but then also just professional development as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we find that those cohorts of 30 to 35 people really get pretty close in that time. Yep, it's a lot of fun. So it's six full days once a month between October and early spring.
Okay.
So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, the big thing I think employees of SDSU should know about is that we took over the New Resident Welcome Initiative back in 2022, I believe. It used to be more of an economic development initiative, and then kind of got lost between them and the chamber in 2020 over COVID. And so we kind of picked that up, gave it a refresh. So we have a great website, liveinbrookings.org. It's for current residents, visitors, new residents, but just kind of a hub for anything you might ever need. We also do a couple of events a year for new residents. So actually last night was our new resident barbecue.
Yes.
We had over 120 people come.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think right around, when I did my head count, I think right around 90 were new residents to the community, which was really fun to have them all gathered and be able to welcome them.
Right.
And a lot of those were actually SDSU employees. It was really fun to meet them. Yep.
Good.
Yeah. The younger crowd, either young at age or young at heart, we have our young professionals group as well. We have a Facebook page or Facebook group that you can join. It's just Brookings area young professionals, but they do meetups once a month, and so they just go either to a coffee shop, a bar, they go out to lunch, but once a month they get together, and it's typically between 15 and 30 individuals, depending on time of day and time of year and things like that. And then we also do a Young Professional Summit once a year, which is a lot of fun in the spring. The last thing I think I would talk about is if nothing else, head over to Visit Brookings and get their Grade 8 passport. I know there's different destinations there that sometimes you might think of, like the Children's Museum and things. So McCrory Gardens in the summer, what better way to go spend 20 minutes than to just go walk around a beautiful, oh my gosh, if I can't get enough of that place. It's just so much fun to walk around, and I'm a kind of a crazy plant lady too, so that's helpful.
Well, I love that you're sharing that, because in 2 weeks on our podcast, Lisa from McCrory is going to be here
to
talk about all the options that are available to SDSU employees. And as I've learned over the past few weeks talking to her, it's free to all SDSU employees and
awesome.
6 guests.
That's
so
crazy.
I
actually didn't know that. That's wonderful to know.
Right. So thanks for setting us up for a couple weeks down the road.
Love it.
You know, I also wanted to share with you, because you mentioned the website for new employees. I actually had a call yesterday from a new faculty member who's going to be coming to Brookings with their family, and they wanted to connect with a realtor. And we referred them to that page and answered all their questions.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's just a
Good
great
to hear.
resource. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you've mentioned kind of the website, and just to focus on new employees briefly again for a second, but you mentioned the website and some of the services and welcoming things that are available. But what advice would you give to a new employee who's moving to town and just trying to figure out Brookings in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Selfishly, I want you to call our office. We can provide a lot of different avenues of what you can do, where you can go. Again, Visit Brookings is a great resource. I think just knowing that you're here and allowing us to connect you with some different avenues to get integrated. I think for me, the hardest thing about moving to a new community, because I didn't have kids, was the social aspect.
Sure.
And so it was helpful being a staff member at the chamber. You meet so many people, but I can't imagine moving to town, going to work and going home, and not having interaction with more people and how they might find that social group. And so a lot of times we'll have events that come up that we'd love to tell you about, even if they're not ours. We have a great calendar on our website. You can head over there. There's plenty of opportunities in the summertime, especially. And honestly, if there's an individual that, you know, maybe they're just a single young professional moved to town and they just need to go somewhere and they don't really feel comfortable, give us a call. We'd love to find somebody to go to a mixer with you or whatever, just so you don't feel alone.
Sure.
Yep.
You know, as you're talking about that and sharing some of the different groups, it occurs to me in my role facilitating new faculty orientation here on campus that we maybe could have a great opportunity to build a partnership related to the professionals group. Under the professionals, I'm getting the name of it wrong, but the under 40 professionals group, and I don't know if there's an opportunity to connect there, but that would seem like an ideal fit for some of those new employees.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's we actually have a lot of SDSU faculty that come to those meetups, and we, like I said, it's young at heart or young in age. So you don't have to be under 40. It used to be called Connect 2140, and we evolved it to be Connect Brookings because we were addressing multiple populations. But we want people over 40 to attend and integrate and have fun with those younger professionals as well, because the great resignation that took place, there's a lot of people that are restarting their careers and they feel young in their career. And so there's new skills that sometimes need to be learned there too.
Right. No, that's outstanding perspective. And so you mentioned you're the crazy plant lady, but you're not always at work. And so I guess as you live within the Brookings community and you go through your day-to-day, what kind of things do you like to do and enjoy in the Brookings community that might be of interest to some of the folks listening to today's podcast?
Yeah. One of the avenues that I found the best place to find community for me was a gym. And so we have multiple gyms that offer group classes. So I personally go to CrossFit, where they have a coach that coaches every class, and the logo on the wall, it says it's a community. It's not a place, it's a community. And that's really true. And we have a couple of member gyms. Synergy is another one that has some great group classes, but there's something just about being at your very worst in the middle of a workout near death with other people that bonds you. So and it's great for your well-being. I also love to golf. There's a few great golf courses. The country club, you can golf there even if you're not a member. Volga has a beautiful course. A lot of people don't realize that. And obviously our city course here. And a lot of times you can just find some really great people in the clubhouse to chat with as well.
It sounds like the social connections are really important to you.
They are,
That ability to find others.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and if I want to be alone, I am a crazy plant lady. My two stepdaughters say that my house is bedazzled compared to the others in the neighborhood because of all the pots we put out in summertime.
I love it.
Yep,
I love
it's pretty fun.
That's outstanding. We're nearing the end of our time. I just want to really quickly thank Kelsey Doom, President and CEO of the Brookings Area Chamber of Commerce, for joining us and being a part of our podcast today, and give you the chance as we wrap up, if there's any final thought or message you'd like to share from your chair to Brookings or to SDSU employees. Give you a chance to share what that might be.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we are working a lot more with SDSU than we have in past years, particularly trying to get SDSU students to stay in Brookings after graduation. We know that, majority of graduates are going to go out and do great things in the world, and they're going to spread the word about South Dakota State. But we hope a few find a home here. And so we do a lot of work with SDSU students, especially connecting the business community with instructors and faculty and things. So if you ever are in need of a connection or have a new idea that you want to get off the ground, we're a great place to start. You can reach us on our website, email us, info@Brookings Chamber, call us 692-8922, or just walk right in 1321 6th Street right across from Jimmy John's.
Well, and I've seen recently some data that indicates that you're having success.
I don't know if the chamber, I don't know if the chamber is solely responsible for doubling the percentage of students wanting to stay in Brookings, but we'll take it.
Hey, why not? Yes.
I think a couple national championships probably don't hurt either. So
it can't hurt. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for listening today to our State of Wellbeing podcast. Look forward to another episode coming out in a couple of weeks, focusing on the SDSU Wellness Center and McCrory Gardens. And so, Kelsey, thank you again for joining us, and thank you all for joining the State of Wellbeing podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. This podcast is brought to you by the Mental Wellbeing Team and SD State Health.